You don't cry too easily.
You see too clearly. You know the apology reflex. The tears come in a meeting, watching a documentary, during a quiet conversation, and before you even feel the wetness on your cheek, the words are already forming. I'm sorry. I don't know why this is happening. This is so stupid. You learn to label yourself before anyone else could. Too sensitive, too much, broken. But what if that diagnosis was never yours to carry? What if the shame you feel is the only malfunction here, and the tears themselves are evidence of something remarkably intact? Your tears are not a fault in the wiring. They are the output of a biological system tuned to perceive what others walk right past. You don't have a defect. You have a sophisticated instrument, one that picks up emotional and social signals at a resolution most brains simply cannot reach. Think of it like this. Your brain is a camera. Most people are walking around recording at standard resolution. Let's call it 720p. They catch the broad strokes of a room. They see someone smile. But your brain? It records in 8K. You capture the micro shrug before the smile. You log the half-second flicker of hurt in someone's eyes that vanishes before they speak. You register the 3mm drop in their shoulders. That's not overreacting. That's simply having a sensor with 12 times the data density. This flood of information you feel isn't a malfunction. It's the completely logical consequence of running a high-bandwidth sensory system in a world designed for lower resolution. The overwhelm is real, but that overwhelm isn't proof you're weak. It's proof your instrument is picking up a signal the standard hardware completely misses. This is why stepping into a room can feel like walking into a wall of data. You don't just see a group of people. You sense the microtensions, the half-second glance that carried reproach, the silence that was a bit too stiff. Most brains filter out that ambient information as irrelevant noise, but yours doesn't have that luxury or that blindness. In psychological terms, this is called low latent inhibition. Think of it as a sensory gate that stays open. Where a typical mind might only register the obvious conversation, yours tracks the trembling hand pouring coffee, the slight vocal tremor, and the person in the corner who hasn't spoken at all. Now, this can feel exhausting. It often is. You might have been called too sensitive or dramatic for reacting to what seems like nothing, but you are not reacting to nothing. You're reacting to a richer, higher-dimensional picture that others simply cannot access. Researchers describe low latent inhibition as a reduced ability to screen out previously irrelevant stimuli. In a landmark review, the psychologist Jordan Peterson and colleagues noted that this trait is associated with an increased intake of both sensory and emotional information from the environment. Your brain isn't broken. It's just doing a much more thorough intake interview with reality before it decides how to respond. The tears that come are not a glitch in your software. They are the understandable overflow from a processor that took in 5 times the data. But raw data alone doesn't make you cry. Something else has to translate that unfiltered input into the physical ache in your chest when a friend describes their heartbreak. That something is your second upgrade, hyperactive mirror neurons. Think of mirror neurons as your brain's empathy wiring. When you see someone stub their toe, these neurons fire in a pattern that mirrors their pain inside your own head. In most people, it's a dim echo. In you, it's a live broadcast. Research on mirror systems shows that observing others' emotions activates your own emotional centers with unusual intensity. You don't just recognize sadness, you feel it physically settle into your body. But there's one more piece. Because feeling everything isn't enough to explain why a small slight echoes for days, or why a beautiful song can wreck you. That's the third mechanism, depth of processing. Your brain encodes emotional experiences with more weight, more sensory detail, richer neural connections. You're not overreacting, you're recording in higher fidelity. A sad melody isn't just sound, it's a full-body memory. Now, understanding those 3 mechanisms, low latent inhibition, hyperactive mirror neurons, depth of processing, you might wonder why evolution kept such an intense design around. If it hurts, if it overwhelms, why didn't nature edit it out? Because tribes didn't just need warriors, they needed sensors. Think of a dandelion. It thrives anywhere, in cracked pavement, in harsh wind. Now think of an orchid. It needs specific light, specific humidity, exactly the right soil. But when an orchid blooms, it's extraordinary. You are the orchid. Evolution preserved roughly 20% of people with this high sensitivity design because they detect threats and emotional shifts that others miss entirely. Researchers call this Vantage Sensitivity. Orchids suffer more in poor environments, yes, but they flourish more brilliantly than dandelions in supportive ones. The greenhouse isn't a crutch, it's the condition for your bloom. So protect it. Curate your inputs. Schedule daily recovery. Tell people you trust, I feel deeply, I need pauses. That's not weakness, that's stewardship of a rare biological inheritance. So here's the prescription, broken into 3 simple moves. First, stop trying to be a dandelion. You were never designed to thrive in harsh, uncurated soil. Your orchid system needs specific conditions, and that's not weakness, it's biology. Second, build a greenhouse. Curate your inputs. Limit the noise. Protect your sensory boundaries like glass walls that let in light but block the storm. Third, honor the recovery. Your 8K sensor downloads a massive data stream every single day. Silence isn't lazy, it's processing. You don't need a thicker skin, you need better conditions. The Vantage Sensitivity framework confirms this clearly. Orchids benefit more from supportive environments than dandelions do, which directly motivates the 3-part greenhouse protocol for protecting your super-sensing design. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of the video.